It's been ages since I made a video, and today I'm making a bit of a strange one. We're here in Tokyo, Japan, where I have been for the last X number of years. I don't know if you can see it right up there above this, it's actually a preschool. That's Tokyo Sky Tree, second tallest thing in the world, well, second tallest man-made thing in the world. But today, this is what it's all about. We're going to be taking a look at my car, because we're selling that car today and replacing it with a BMW X1. Now, for you guys out there who like your sneakers and watching this for that, there's what I'm wearing to do this today. So I haven't completely given up the sneaker game, and at the end of this video we will talk a bit about why I'm doing this video today, because it has got something to do with the sneakers. But basically this is what it's all about today, is the BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer from 2017. I'm going to be making this video and going through this car bit by bit to show you guys all the little bits on the outside and on the inside that made this a really great car for my family for about 5 years. But there were some things that weren't so great on it, so I'm going to go through it bit by bit, show you guys all the details. Maybe you're looking to buy one of these things, maybe you're interested in cars, and it's those small details that I think make all the difference when you're buying a car. And I can tell you things like this right here. That's where I keep my bottle of tea. This being Tokyo, Japan, everybody drinks bottles of tea unsweetened, and this is a really handy little holder for your drinks here. But a not so great thing on a 2 Series is that holder right there doesn't hold much, and what I'm talking about is your Starbucks or your large ventis and things like that. And then this sort of hold all here, this little extra I don't know what you call it, storage space here, gets right in the way of those cup holders. And it's one of those small things that you wouldn't think about when you were buying a car, to have a look at something like that, but it's something to be aware of on these guys. Now, like I said, this is a 2 Series Gran Tourer, but you can see already from these seats that these are leather because they were all upgraded. Now, this car, when we bought it, had 18 kilometers on it, which is about, I don't know, 13 miles or something like that. So it was very, very new, not quite brand new. Even in the 5 years that we've had it, we've managed to keep like these factory stickers on here. I don't know if you can see that little flap there, that this would peel off, but we've kept that on there, so it's in really nice condition for whoever's getting it next. But I think it was a showroom car when we got it, so it's got probably all the mod cons and all the stuff on it, including these leather seats and this right here, which is the HUD, and that pops up and gives you an extra digital display there. So there are a few things on this car that wouldn't come as standard if you were buying a Gran Tourer, a 2 Series, and that's a couple of them right there. Now, I do recommend, if you are buying any BMW, to be honest, is go for the leather seats. Even if it costs you a little bit more, you can fire that into your payment package and stuff like that and break it down over however many months you're going to get your loan for. But the leather seats have two really important factors to them. One is they're leather, and they are easier to keep, easier to clean, and they don't hold the smell so much, if you know what I'm saying. Now, there are two other options when it comes to BMW seats. One is half leather, where these kind of sections here are leather, and this middle bit here would be fabric or cloth, or whole cloth, where it's entirely the cloth. Obviously a bit harder to clean, holds the smell a bit more. So I do recommend going with the full leather. But not just that, the full leather comes with these guys right here, and what this is the settings for moving the seat. Now, when I was a kid, basically all you could do was shuffle the seat back and forward with a bar down the front, or have this rotation on the side here to get the flaps on the back going. But this one here, which does the sort of back end of the seat there, it also, actually it's this one here, I don't know if you can see that, but it raises the seat up higher and lower. And I don't know if you can do that manually on a car. I know you can obviously manually slide it forward and back and manually adjust the angle of the back of the seat there. But these guys right here they only come with the leather. You don't get that if you've got the cloth seat, so definitely get the leather seats. And you can set two settings on there. So I have mine set in one. I press that, the seat goes to where I want it. My wife gets in and it's like, oh, this is not what I want. She presses 2 and the seat automatically adjusts to what you want it. And you can also set those settings to automatically adjust to you when you start, depending on the key that you're using. So here's the key for this car, and this car is coded as driver 2. So when I get in and start the engine and I set driver 2, it automatically sets the seat position to where I want it, which is extremely handy. Now, one of the reasons why I thought I would do this video is because there's a lot of similarities between the 2 Series. And you're thinking, really? There's a lot of similarities between the 2 Series and the X1? No, there aren't. Well, there are on the interior, and that's why I was really sort of surprised by it. We went to look at our new car a couple of weeks ago, like I say, a BMW X1, and I was from the outside, you know, it's a sort of cross, a hybrid SUV. Didn't look anything like this 2 Series, but then when you get inside it, like the cabin is so similar. So that was one of the reasons why I want to do it. So let's have a look at the outside of this 7 Series. I wish. This 2 Series, and this video is just about this 2 Series, and what we'll do is when I've got the X1, I'll be able to make a comparison video of it as well. So but one of the things I'll talk about in that comparison video is definitely the wheels on 2 Series. These things have been an absolute pain in the you know what, because they are a nightmare to clean. They get really dirty, and then cleaning each individual spoke is really hard. Even if you go to you know, to a car wash, it doesn't clean in the middle there very well, and then each individual one of those on every single wheel is an absolute nightmare to clean. So that's one of the things I definitely suggest you watch out for. Now, another thing with 2 Series is this window right here. If I had to give it a shape, I'd probably be inclined to call it square, if you know what I mean. It's a 4-sided shape, and that's a quick way for you to tell if it's a 7-seater or a 5-seater. So when that little window at the back there is a square, that means it's a 7-seater. But if it was a more triangular shape, if you had a kind of more of a triangle going on in there, then it would be a 5-seater. So you can see, looking at my car here, it's a 7-seater, and the reason we got a 7-seater is because we have 2 dogs. So the dogs will be in the back row seats, the little baby Butter in the middle row seats, and then me and Mrs. Butter in the front row seats. But then we realized that's not great. There's a few reasons why that's not great, and again, this is the kind of thing to look out for if you were buying yourself a 2 Series. You can see all the junk that's piled up in the back here. I didn't realize that was all there. But one of the things is that this space here is not all that adequate, and the back of these seats, it's very solid plastic. I'll do that again where you can actually see it was out of shot. It's very solid plastic, so if there's not much space there, and I'm a larger man, I'm well over 6 feet tall, or close to 2 meters tall, so I need a lot of leg room, so this comes back, and if anyone's sitting back here, that space isn't great, and the knees are banging against the very solid plastic at the back of the seat there. Another thing, I don't know how visible it'll be here, but you can see this white thing here, and over there there'll be another green and white thing. These are nets. And you can see the sort of elasticated nets, so they're great for storing things. And you can see that little baby Butter sits right there in her little seat. She's 4.5 years old now, so that's her little place to be. On these, speaking of baby Butter, right here, this is the child lock, and we obviously have it switched on that side there, but not on this side here. So that's the child lock if any of you are looking to drive one of these cars. And what that does, it disables this right here, so when you try and open the door, that doesn't do a thing. There's also the electric windows here, and if I go back to the driver's side seat, there's a button right here that stops the back windows from opening, so having little baby Butter playing around with the door or the windows while you're driving isn't going to happen. So there's a little look at the sort of the side and the outside. I will say one thing, these mirrors here, the side mirrors, I used to drive a Nissan Presage, which I really liked. It was a great car, and when you closed, you know, you pressed the lock button on your little key, they would close automatically, but they don't do that on this car. So you have to press the button on the inside for them to electronically close, but it doesn't do it automatically, which is a pain in the X when you're parking your car and stuff like that. If you forget to close them at you know, at a car park, like I have done right now, I haven't closed them. And what's the bet? And some idiot comes and sits right there while I'm making this video, or there for that matter. Speaking of Mrs. Butter, she was absolutely insistent I cover up the number, even though we're selling this car today. So there you go. You don't get to see the number on my car, thanks to Mrs. Butter. But looking at it, you know, the X1, when we do have a look at the X1, it's a very different outside to these guys. But it's a really nice car. We did take a little you know, bit of paint. I don't know how easy it is to see. Took some paint off that corner there. That's one of the reasons why we decided to sell it rather than get that fixed. And again, those wheels on there can be a bit of a nightmare. So let's go ahead and have a look at the boot. I think this is an added option that you can let it do it automatically. I don't think that comes as standard, and that's run up here on these buttons here, where you'd press that button to close it. And I think they're an added extra, but this is one of my biggest sort of concerns about a 2 Series. And again, if you're looking to buy a 2 Series or any BMW out there, this is something to think about. It's the electronics. Now, I was sitting at we're in Tokyo, Japan, one of the biggest cities in the world, heavily populated, quite wealthy, lots of cars out there, you know, busy streets. I was sitting at a busy intersection, waiting on a red light, doing nothing, just minding my own business. Had Mrs. Butter in the car and Baby Butter in the car as well, and I swear on any deity you want me to swear on, that nobody touched anything, and the boot just opened by itself in the middle of the road at a busy intersection waiting for a red light. The guy behind me must have absolutely cacked it, and it worries me about the electronics. They're one of the things about this car that I worry about. Sometimes this side mirror makes a sort of like a ga noise when you open it. This window, when you electronically open that as well, is sometimes a bit clunky, and this the electronic boot here sometimes opens by itself, and it had happened a couple of times before that in places like a car park or getting ready to go out for the day, but that was the first time it had happened after we've been driving for a while in a pretty dangerous place. So that was a serious worry. Now, standard boot space, you can see we've got a bunch of cost going on in here, so there's not really that much to see, but we've got the 2 rows of seats. This is the middle row, and then the front rows back there, and then the extra rows of seats would be under here, if you wanted to flap them up and see the what would it be, the 6th and 7th seat. And then also under here is some extra storage. Now I wonder if I can do this without making too much of a mess. Let's stand those guys up, and we'll take this bag out of the way I can, and then we'll have a look in here, because this here, that there, this is an important detail, is actually the cover that goes on the top here if you want to keep all of this covered, and you can just store it in that little storage bay down there. We also keep umbrellas in there for inclement weather, and that's one of the downsides to the X1, is that the I don't know what you call that, the cover that goes on top of your boot space, it can't actually store in its extra little bit of storage space there, so I'm kind of worried about that. But here we go, we'll close this guy right up again. You'll see that guy shutting itself with the number not visible, and you can see here it's a 218i, which means it's a 2 Series, a 1.8 litre engine with fuel injection, but it doesn't have a D there. If there was a D there, then that would mean it was a diesel. It's not a diesel, it's a what is it now? They call it high octane, is it? Premium, I think they call it. That's the word I'm looking for overseas. So so then the last thing to do, I guess, is to pop inside and have a look at that interior that I was telling you about, especially the cockpit. That's where a lot of the similarities are between this car and the X1 that we'll see when we pick that up later today. So I'm in the cockpit. I'm going to turn her on, but I'll have to turn off the... it's one of those button starts, which is pretty much standard these days. So I'm holding, I've got my foot on the brake, and I'm pressing that start button there. I want to make sure that the music doesn't kick in, because wouldn't want to get hit with what they called a copyright claim. So we're in park right now. Most cars in Japan are automatic, so if you're watching this from overseas, you don't be surprised to see that that's a manual there. And it was this sort of whole get up here, this whole setup here. You've got that extra storage space there, you've got the 2 drink holders there, and then this is the control for up here. So if you look at me changing the songs on Blur's Park Life there, that's with this wheel here, and then all of this around the edge as well for your control buttons. This is your side brake or your parking brake, like I said, automatic. Down here is your climate control stuff, very useful little storage bit there. Up here is the it's actually the CD and the radio stuff, which is kind of like nobody ever uses that anymore. And this used to be a nice big display. If I flip it over using that control panel down below to the maps, and you can see the car navigation. It used to be a really nice big display, but then these days they've got like an iPad sitting here now, and they're huge, so it's relatively different. I also told you about the HUD. There's the HUD there. I don't know if I can get it so you can see, I don't know if you can see a 0 in there maybe, which is the speed that the car's going at. So if that's where you get a little bit of extra display. So rather than looking down below and trying to see your you know, your speed and stuff like that, you can actually catch it there really quickly. Some cars these days, they actually project that onto the front glass. So now let me see, let me just turn that and turn the wheel so you can get a better look at the dash up here, things like this. This is something that'll be different with the X1 when we look at it later, is here we've got more controls on this car. Like I said before, I think this was a showroom car or something like that, and so it had very few miles on it, and it has a lot more of the the extra features and stuff like that. So this is really handy over here. This is like the phone and the volume on music and things like that, and then a scroll for choosing different things, so you don't have to be faffing around over here trying to organize stuff instead of doing it on here. Also on the display here, you've got a few extra details. Hopefully you can see there we've done about 30,000 kilometers, so we got it with about 18 on the clock, and now we're close to 30,000. And then this here, if you look at that, that tells you there's 163 kilometers left of fuel in the tank, but you can actually choose on that, you can change it to different things. There's it's doing 8.3 kilometers per litre. Average speed is 14.9 kilometers an hour. That's city driving for you. What else is going to come up? 1742. I think that might be the date. 1742. Is that today? I think that's today. Is it today? It's today, April the 17th, 2022. Temperature of the engine's okay, and there, yeah, so stuff like that. So so the interior, I mean, this steering wheel, I'm going to get out so you can get a better look at it, and we'll turn off all this again down at the button down there. Can't see my finger. So so yeah, so the interior stuff, you know, it's this kind of stuff, the steering wheel, the whole sort of media panel down there, the extra storage space there, even the electric windows and the electric side panels here. Actually, this is something that bugs me about this car, and I think it's a German thing, is that if I get out and I want to go and get baby butter from over there out of that door, the number of times I've gone round and that door's locked because I haven't unlocked this here. Don't know if you'll be able to hear the noise of the locks going there, but you have to actually press that unlock to unlock the other 3 doors on the car. And if you're trying to open them from outside, now that's great for safety, right? Nobody's going to open the door and grab your kid out of the back seat, for example, but it's a pain when you're, like I say, you've arrived somewhere, you get out and you want to go get the kid out of the car and you realize that door is closed and you have to come all the way back round again and press that button. So it drives me a little bit nuts. And then one final thing is this button here, that's the boot. I don't know if you heard that, but that's me opening the boot, and there's the boot opening from the front here. So it's telling me I can't close it from there. I think I've run out of time. The car's been sitting here too long without the engine on. So well, that's another thing actually. Let me open that again. Anyone thinking of buying any BMW, this right here is a real it's not a problem, but it's an irritation, is that it might be easier to see side on. You can see it's like a sort of shelf there and then a slope down like that, so rainwater gathers here quite easily, and you can see how much dirt. Now, we cleaned this car maybe 3 weeks ago. We had it cleaned, so that was nice and clean 3 weeks ago, and in 3 weeks that's the amount of sort of dirt that's accumulated on that little shelf there. And it'll be the same on the X1 that we're picking up later, is that's got the same feature, and it's really irritating having that there, because it stops, it gathers the rain and gets kind of dirty. So it's two dirty minuses on this car, that little trough there, and also the wheels are a pain to clean. So but all in all, really nice car. 7-seater, 2 series. We've had it for, like I said, how long have we had it? 4 years. We had it for 4 years. It's now April, and we got it in April 2018, and it's now April 2022. So we've had it for 4 years. We had to replace was it the front wheels? Yeah, it was the front tyres that we had to replace at one point. Brake pads, we only replaced the brake pads after 20,000 kilometers, which was ridiculous to me. I thought it was way too fast. But according to BMW, that's what you need to do, is every 20,000 kilometers replace your brake pads. But I think that was way too fast. I don't think brake pads run out that fast. But then maybe city driving, you're hitting the brakes a lot more than you would be elsewhere. So maybe that's the deal with that. But basically, you know, a really nice car, really good car. It served our family really well. A little bit small in the cockpit for me. Like I said, I'm close to 2 meters tall, so a little bit small in there for me. I would prefer to have, there's my finger, would have preferred to have had it bigger. Like the Presage, the Nissan Presage I had before this was much more spacious than this, and that was also a 7-seater, but they don't really make those anymore. But yeah, it's a car that served us well. BMW 2 Series, 1.8 litre fuel injected engine, but running on premium instead of diesel. The X1 that we'll be picking up later runs on diesel, so that'll be an interesting change. And in these times when gas prices are really high, that's a good thing, because diesel is about 20% cheaper here than premium, so I'm looking forward to a little bit of cheaper driving with that respect. So there you go, guys. Today it was all about looking at this 2 Series, saying goodbye to our family car, and we'll be welcoming the X1. I'll do that X1 video where you can see the X1 sometime soon, but also comparison video where I look at the two different sort of features between the X1 and the 2 Series. And then a last word about the old Bread 4s. One of the reasons I'm making this video, if you guys are watching this because you've not seen my content for a while, is I got a message from YouTube saying, oh, you haven't done content for a while, and that means your monetization and all that kind of stuff is at risk. So I was like, oh dang it, I better make some videos. And it has been almost 6 months since I posted to YouTube, and I'm not at all sure what I want to do with the channel, but at least I can make these videos, these 3 videos, the 2 Series, the X1, and then the X1 and 2 Series comparison, and hopefully that'll keep YouTube off my back for a while I try and work out what I want to do with my channel. I'm sort of not feeling the daily sneaker content as I was for 1,000 consecutive days. Anyone who's watched my channel before will know I did 1,000 consecutive days on YouTube about sneakers, and that was exhausting. But I don't want to just let it go. It was hard work for 3 years, so we'll see where it goes. But for now, that's an update on the channel. Anyone who's not watched my content for ages, or not seen me post for ages, because I haven't, and then anyone who's interested in their BMWs or their 2 Series, this was the 2017 BMW 2 Series Gran Tourer. Hope you appreciate that video. Keep an eye out for the I think it's a 2020 X1 that we've bought, so it's got about 8,000 kilometers on the clock, and so that'll be a standalone video, the BMW X1 video, and then a comparison between the two. So farewell, guys. Pleasure to bring you guys content for the first time in ages, but for now, signing off from Tokyo, Japan. I will see you guys real soon.